you know what, a lot of unions went to do that on a voluntary basis. They weren't even required to do it by law. They went and they did it because, you know why? They understand that, number one, and I've always said it, when I die, when they name a street after me, I don't want to be called one way. Very simple. You know, you've got to have a two-way approach. You've got to be able to go in there and have someone listen to you as well as be heard yourself and listen to them. So when you're able to do stuff like that, then you're able to resolve a lot of these differences. And that's what it's going to take.
What's the worst part of this bill? Outside of the whole bill?
Yeah, you can start with the very first word and probably delete everything after that. It might be palatable by that point in time.
Well, considering that stance, why would the Republicans have any incentive to provide you the amendments earlier to work with you?
Show and tell.
Well, plus you're making an assumption that this wouldn't be, I mean, it's not like we wouldn't want to see what they're doing. I mean, that makes the assumption that we're never going to talk to each other, and I don't think that's the case. It's still a bad, you know, it's a bad bill.
Could I jump in?
Sure.
Appreciated your honesty about where this is ultimately headed. I mean, this is looking like November, right? So this week, whatever we hear about this week and whatever happens this week, Democrats are resigned to the fact that this is likely going to be a referendum this November.
I don't think I'm resigned is a good word, but I think I've always followed my life in a very simple rule that people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. So looking at what we're dealing with and looking at the bill that we've seen it in its original form, knowing that there's really not a whole lot that they can do to dress this thing up to make it look attractive, we have to accept the reality, knowing the political climate. You can see it, you can sense it. I'm not saying anything that you haven't seen or observed on your own. I think you know that we're going to have no choice but to take it to the people, take it to them in November. They're very aware of the two dates, April 5th and post-April 5th, as to whether it's going to be in 2011 or 2012. We realize that 2012 will be a very important presidential election, so their idea and their hope is to make sure that we get it, and they control it.
So what is the mood of Democrats? Would you describe the Democratic caucus as frustrated? Or is there, I mean, what is the sense of, is it doom at least this week and not just simply not having the numbers?
No, I wouldn't say it's doom. I'll tell you what, because if anything, being part of the labor movement for 37 years, I love when we get together for a good fight, and this has brought us together. It woke up a lot of Ohio. And I've really been traveling all over the state. We've been doing our little town hall meetings all over. We've been meeting with more and more groups. And it seems like everywhere I go, people want to talk about Senate Bill 5. And I'm talking to more and more Republicans that have finally said that, you know what, I've never really thought of a Democratic issue before in my life, but all of a sudden I'm beginning to agree with you guys. You're going after our police. You're going after our fire. You're going after our teachers. You're going after our nurses. You're going after our social workers. And the list goes on and on and on. Everyone who takes care of us. You know, they said, like the one little old lady told me, she says, you know, when my husband had a heart attack, I didn't call a legislator. I called 911, and the police and the fire both came to my house. She says, I didn't call my state rep, I didn't call my state senator, I didn't call the governor. And I thought, you know what, that's a very good point, my friend. You know, the bottom line is this, the people who respond to the needs of the citizens of the state of Ohio are the ones under attack right now. If you were not out on the front lawn a few weeks ago when we had, and the numbers conflicted no matter who you talk to, but we all can agree to one thing, there were a lot of people outside, and they were mostly unhappy, they were frustrated, they were angry, and they want to see what's being happening and come to a stop. And that's my intention. That's basically where we're at right now.
Which works well.